How's it going, YouTube? It is Doc here, Docky Style Gaming, and we are back at it with some more Anthem information for you all today. Now, this one is actually a Redux edition on the Javelin breakdowns because all of the articles on Anthem's official page got updated and we got so much more information on all of the gear abilities, both slots, and the support abilities for every single Javelin. So we have 10 plus different abilities for the Ranger alone that we did not know about up until now. So I'm gonna cover it in this breakdown, and I'll be doing the same thing with the other 3 Javelins later on this week. So we're gonna be doing complete reduxes of the Javelin breakdown, so definitely stay tuned to all of the other videos to come later on. But definitely let's get into the Ranger first, because hey, that's the first Javelin we're gonna start with, so why not start with the Ranger Javelin for our first Redux breakdown. So like always, I'll just read out the article and I'll discuss more about the gear as we get to those points in the article. So the article starts, all freelancers train on the Ranger first in Anthem. Not because it's the easiest, but because it's the most versatile. In the hands of a master lancer, the Ranger can achieve feats of combat prowess that no other Javelin can touch. The Ranger Javelin has a deep bag of tricks to draw from, and there is no combat situation it can't take on effectively. With access to a wide variety of weapon types, the Ranger is a true wildcard that can complement any team and any mission. So that was the brief little summary that we got on the Ranger Javelin. Now, it does seem to fit with what all the devs have said. It's pretty much your all-around Javelin, and the description called it the wildcard, and I definitely see that. And with some of the abilities we're going to get into, it definitely seems to be the case, especially with some of the gear attachments. But before we get straight into the gear attachments, let's talk about the Ranger Javelin's weaponry. Now, according to the article, it says for the Ranger Javelin weaponry, each Javelin may have 2 weapons for their loadout and can change them along with the rest of the loadout between missions. The Ranger is capable of wielding every weapon type except heavy weapons, which can only be used by the Colossus Javelin. Next is the Ranger's Javelin melee ability, and that is the Shock Mace. When the Ranger Javelin chooses to mix it up at close range, it deploys an electrified mace that sends a medically inadvisable amount of voltage through its enemies. And we have got to see some of that in the gameplay trailer and in some of the footage for the promotional trailers as well. Next, this is where things get pretty good. Now we're about to be hopping into the Ranger Javelin's gear attachments, but we're going to start with the ones that everybody will most likely be using the most, which are the Ranger Javelin's grenade gear attachment. The article starts, quick to deploy, grenades lay down area of damage for effective crowd control at a moment's notice. Modified grenades can be found out in the field and can be equipped to create different effects, including frost and seeker grenades. And speaking of those grenades, let's hop into the 5 that were listed so far. So first is the frag grenade. It deals an impressive amount of damage in a large area of effect. And that sounds to be his most basic of all the grenades, probably the starting grenade that most of us will be playing with when we start out with the Ranger. The next grenade they listed was the Inferno grenade. Ignites an area, dealing damage and setting enemies ablaze, which I don't believe we've seen that in action, but I can definitely see that being pretty good to use in combo situations. The next grenade they listed was the Frost grenade. Damages and freezes enemies in their place. Now we have seen this in action, especially in the most recent footage that we saw, so this definitely seems to be pretty decent for crowd control. I wonder how much of an area of effect it's going to cover, but we have seen when he throws the grenade, it completely freezes the enemy. They start to slow down, then they just completely freeze. So I feel like that'll be a really good crowd control grenade for the Ranger to use. The next grenade that was listed is the Seeker grenades. Splits into smaller sub-munitions which seek out the nearest enemy. Now that actually sounds pretty fun, but I wonder if the other little seekers are going to hit other nearby enemies and not just a single targeted enemy. And then the last grenade they listed was the Sticky Bomb. Attaches to a single target for a contained high damage blast. Now whereas the frag grenade sounds to be like it's going to do an area of effect to multiples, the Sticky sounds like it's going to stick to a single target and literally just deal as much damage as it possibly can. So that's probably going to be a really good DPS grenade to use. Now that we got the grenade gear slots out of the way, let's hop into a brand new gear attachment for the Ranger, which is the Ranger Javelin Assault Launcher gear slot. The article starts, the Ranger's wrist launcher allows for a variety of modules to be loaded on for an extra burst of firepower. This provides a more flexible combat approach that can take down threats quickly. And the first of the 5 assault launcher gear attachments that were shown or mentioned is the homing missile. The description reads, fire a projectile that seeks out a target for a small area of effect explosion. So this one again might be the basic or the standard one that most of the Rangers will come equipped with in the game. It seems like your basic area of effect attack, and it'll do probably a relatively decent amount of damage. The next one is the Energy Pulse. Unleash a blast of pure energy, hitting a single target with incredible force. Now the Energy Pulse definitely sounds like the DPS gear attachment for the Ranger Javelin. This seems to be the one to do when you want to deal as much damage as possible. Next, we have the Spark Beam. Fires a sustained beam of energy for continuous damage. Now this one sounds like a good combo gear attachment for helping your team apply status effects to enemies and killing them faster. Next, we have the Venom Darts. Launches a volley of darts that seek out targets for an acid damage. Now this one also sounds like another combo ability as well that will help the team, but I guess it kind of depends on how much damage the Venom Darts will actually do. How much damage over time at least, because we know when they seek out and hit the target, they'll get hit with acid damage. But I wonder if it's going to be an acid damage for combos or if it'll be a damage over time type of damage where they'll like bleed out or their health will keep ticking away from the damage. So I'm kind of interested to see how the Venom Darts are actually going to work in the game. And then the last of the assault launcher gear attachments that were listed is the Blast Missile. Fire a missile that explodes an area of effect damage. Now this one definitely sounds like your typical crowd control gear attachment, and you can't go wrong with crowd control. Next, let's hop into the Ranger Javelin support gear. He actually has a change to one of his original support abilities and a brand new one that I think is actually pretty dope. So the summary for the Ranger Javelin support gear is a skillful field general. The Ranger is capable of creating special fields that allow its allies to gain a tactical advantage. And actually, after reading the descriptions of some of these gear attachments for support abilities, I think that's a pretty accurate summary of what these support abilities actually do. So let's start with the first one, which is the Bulwark Point. Deploys a spherical field which deflects incoming enemy projectiles. So think of this as, and I hate to say it, but the Titan bubble from Destiny. But what is more interesting, in a most recent tweet from Mark there, it appears that you can actually shoot through this. So along with deflecting incoming damage, you can also deal damage while inside of this bubble. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting and will definitely come in handy in a lot of game situations. Now the next ability is Muster Point. Now they even made a note of this in their article, but it says in a previous article this ability had been listed as reducing gear cooldown, which originally is what it was, but that has been changed. So I did put that in my original Ranger breakdown video, but because that's been changed, let's talk about what it does now. So Muster Point now creates a field which increases weapon damage for teammates who enter its radius. And honestly, increased weapon damage, especially come boss fights, strongholds, raids, things like that in the game, is going to come in handy a lot. And paired with a certain Javelin, which I will be breaking down tomorrow, you'll find out why a Ranger and this other Javelin are going to come in handy a lot. Now the last ability is the Ranger Javelin's ultimate ability. Now this ability actually has two different descriptions, but I'll read the one on the main article and then I'll read the one on the ultimate ability article. So the Ranger Javelin's ultimate ability is called the Multi-Target Missile Battery. The article states Lancers can deploy a special ultimate ability that displays the true strength of the Ranger Javelin's exosuit. Dealing precise damage across a wide swath of the battlefield, the Ranger's multi-target missile battery allows it to target fast-moving enemies with guided projectiles. And then from the second article, as an addition to the end of that, it did say as a master of versatility in combat, the Ranger's ultimate allows for a flexible approach that can quickly eliminate an overwhelming number of enemies. And then the article ends, your first Javelin. With its focus on precise damage and versatility, the Ranger Javelin can suit any number of skill levels. Novice pilots will appreciate the wide array of weapons and abilities that they can use to sharpen their skills, while experts will gravitate towards the Ranger's emphasis on excellent marksmanship and skill mastery. So whether you're the newest freelancer in the group or the most veteran, the Ranger is a gold standard for combat efficiency. And then the article ends, but there are other Javelins to explore. For those who like a more heavy-handed approach, the Colossus is a great fit, and for those who favor a reflexive lightning-fast playstyle, there's none faster than the Interceptor. Just want to throw lightning bolts at an unsuspecting enemy? Suit up with the Storm. There's so much to discover in the world of Anthem. And that's how the article actually ends. So it was pretty cool to see all of the different gear attachments and support abilities and the second gear attachments and what all they will actually do in terms of the Ranger's abilities and the different uses that they can actually have in game. Even though I am a Storm Master Race fan myself, I still can't wait to get my hands on the Ranger and see how he actually plays in game. And I'm sure all you Ranger fans loved everything you heard from this breakdown. But that's all I really got for this video today, guys. Thank you all for watching. I will catch you guys on tomorrow's breakdown where I'll be breaking down another Javelin, going over all of his brand new gear attachments, his support abilities, and so much more. So definitely stay tuned to that. Again, you guys are the best. If you haven't already, go follow me on my social media accounts. I have a Patreon if you guys want to help out the channel. Links to all of those are in the video description. Again, you guys are the best. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the subs. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.